Tucked on the lush island of Borneo, Brunei is one of those places that feels almost mythical. A rainforest kingdom wrapped in mist, silence, and the songs of creatures most of us have never seen. Here, rivers twist through emerald jungles. Mangroves whisper secrets to the sea. And hidden among the palms, you'll find some of the most rare and breathtaking bird species in Southeast Asia. From flocks of whistling ducks gliding over glassy wetlands, to tiny blue flycatchers glowing like fallen sapphires in the forest light, to the legendary storm stork, a bird so scarce that even scientists whisper when they speak its name. Brunei may be small, but in its skies, it's larger than life. Every flash of color, every echoing call, every wing beat tells a story of survival in a world that still feels untouched. So today, we're diving deep into its rivers, rising into its cloud forests, and chasing the shimmer of the impossible. To meet 15 rare and beautiful bird species you won't believe still exist in this quiet paradise called Brunei. The day in Brunei usually begins with mist over the wetlands, and the sound that breaks it isn't a rooster, it's a lesser whistling duck. You'd think a duck would quack, but not this one. This little cinnamon brown water bird whistles, a soft, flute-like note that rolls across the marshes like the first breath of morning. They gather in flocks, dozens, sometimes hundreds. Floating so close together, they look like a patchwork carpet of feathers. From above, you might mistake them for lotus leaves until they suddenly rise, wings flashing chestnut and cream, whistling as one. It's nature's version of jazz, perfectly improvised, perfectly on beat. Unlike their northern cousins, these ducks don't bother migrating thousands of miles. Why would they? They already live in paradise, warm, wet, and full of snacks. Rice paddies, ponds, lotus lakes. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. And get this, they often roost in trees. Yeah, ducks, in trees. Perching on branches like sleepy pigeons, sometimes 20 feet above the water. Evolution must have been in a playful mood that day. During breeding season, pairs get adorably domestic. They build nests hidden among reeds, lined with soft down, like tiny feather mattresses for future whistlemakers. Both parents share duties, guarding their eggs fiercely against monitor lizards and snakes. They might look gentle, but cross them, and you'll meet a surprisingly angry marsh puffball. Fun fact, their calls act like radar in foggy mornings. They whistle to stay in touch, letting the flock know who's nearby, who's lost, and who's just being dramatic. The lesser whistling duck isn't rare because of color or size. It's rare because of peace. It lives in harmony with water, sky, and noise. Never in a hurry, never out of tune. So here's the thought. If life gave you the choice between shouting to be heard or whistling to belong, which would you choose? If the lesser whistling duck was the calm musician of the marsh, then meet its adventurous cousin, the wandering whistling duck, a bird that believes every pond is a stage and every flight is a performance. You'll find them across Brunei's wetlands and forest edges, drifting in small groups, their reflections shimmering on the still water like moving brushstrokes. At first, they look similar to their lesser cousins. Same chestnut feathers, same soft voice. But there's one giveaway, that longer neck and darker, moodier look. It's like the cool older sibling of the duck world, mysterious, elegant, and just a little dramatic. They get their name from their habit of showing up where no one expects them. One week they're in Brunei, the next, gone. No passports, no flight plans, just wanderlust written in feathers. It's not true migration, more like curious drifting, and wherever there's water, they call it home. When evening falls, their whistles echo across the swamp, a soft chorus rising from the mist. It's peaceful, yet haunting, like nature humming itself to sleep. And if you've ever stood near them in the dark, you know that feeling. A strange calm that makes the world slow down. Fun fact, these ducks have webbed feet that act like paddles but can also perch on low branches, balancing perfectly while preening their feathers. Try doing that with flippers. Their nests float among reeds, built from grasses and down, barely visible until a gentle ripple gives them away. Both parents share the duty, feeding, guarding, guiding, proof that even wanderers can be devoted partners. The wandering whistling duck may not travel across continents, but it moves with purpose. Never lost, just exploring. It's a reminder that sometimes wandering isn't about distance, it's about rhythm. So here's my question. If you could go anywhere, not to escape, but just to see what waits beyond the next horizon, would you take the flight? There are birds that look graceful, and then there's the northern pintail, a bird so elegant it could walk into a royal banquet and no one would question it. Long neck, slim body, a tail that ends in two sharp feathers like quill pens dipped in silver. This isn't a duck, it's a poem in motion. Every winter, flocks of pinetails migrate thousands of miles from the north, across Asia, through monsoon winds, just to rest in the warm wetlands of Brunei. While most travelers complain about jet lag, these ducks arrive spotless, calm, and perfectly composed, as if the sky itself ironed their feathers. You can spot the males instantly, soft chocolate heads, crisp white necklines, and that needle-fine tail slicing the air like an arrow. They look like they just stepped out of a bird fashion magazine. The females, subtle, mottled, elegant, the definition of quiet strength. But don't let the looks fool you. The northern pintail is built for speed. It's one of the fastest ducks on Earth, hitting up to 100 kilometers per hour in flight. That long neck and tail aren't just for show, they're aerodynamics perfected. Nature basically gave this bird a built-in jet upgrade. They feed gracefully too, dipping forward with that swan-like neck to snatch seeds and aquatic plants. No frantic splashing, no mess, just balance and rhythm. Fun fact, pintails are among the earliest migrants to arrive each year, often showing up before the monsoon rains. It's like they can read the weather better than humans. But despite their beauty, their story is fragile. Habitat loss and wetland draining have reduced their numbers worldwide. Still, they keep coming, returning to the same marshes generation after generation, as if loyalty itself had feathers. The northern pintail reminds us that grace isn't about slowing down. It's about moving through chaos without losing your elegance. So here's a thought. If the sky gave you wings sharp enough to outrun the storm, would you use them to flee or to find your way home? If ducks had comedians, the northern shoveler would headline every show. Just look at that face. A long, oversized bill that looks like someone glued a spoon to a perfectly respectable bird. But here's the punchline. That funny beak isn't a joke. It's genius. This duck's shovel-shaped bill works like a natural sieve, filtering out tiny insects and seeds from muddy water. While other ducks dabble politely, the shoveler stirs up the soup, slurping it like a pro. It's messy, efficient, and kind of hilarious. You'll find them visiting Brunei's marshes and flooded rice paddies during migration, mixing with local ducks like travelers, swapping stories at a tropical cafe. The males are impossible to miss. Green head, white chest, rust-colored sides, like someone painted them using leftover sunset. The females? Perfectly camouflaged in mottled brown, quietly keeping things organized while the guys show off. When they feed together, they spin in slow circles, several ducks forming a floating whirlpool, stirring up food. Scientists call it cooperative feeding. I call it duck-synchronized swimming. And yes, it's oddly mesmerizing. Fun fact, their beaks have around 110 fine comb-like lamellae along the edges, letting them strain even the tiniest crustaceans from the water. It's like eating soup with a built-in colander. And here's the kicker. Despite their goofy look, shovelers are among the most agile flyers. They lift off, almost vertically, zip across wetlands at high speed, and can twist midair like fighter jets dodging raindrops. Their journey doesn't end in Brunei. These ducks migrate across 3 continents, chasing warmth and wetlands. They're living proof that weird designs can go the farthest. The northern shoveler might not be the prettiest duck on the lake, but it's the cleverest. It turns what looks like a flaw into pure brilliance. So here's a question. If the world laughed at your design, would you change it or prove it works better than anyone imagined? If the bird world had a rock star, it would definitely be the tufted duck. A glossy black diver with a wild hairstyle and serious attitude. That little curl of feathers at the back of its head? Yeah, that's the tuft. It's not for aerodynamics, it's for style. And it works. You'll spot them gliding across Brunei's calm lakes and reservoirs, looking like they just stepped out of a music video. Slick black plumage, golden eyes, and that cool head tuft bouncing in the breeze. Even when they do absolutely nothing, they still look like they're posing for the album cover. The males are all sharp contrast, black and white, clean and bold. The females wear chocolate brown tones, understated but confident. Together they look like the yin and yang of pond fashion. But it's not just about looks. Tufted ducks are expert divers, plunging more than 15 meters deep in search of snails, mussels, and aquatic plants. They stay underwater for up to half a minute, then pop up like a cork, shaking their tuft dramatically, as if saying, "You missed my solo, didn't you?" Fun fact, they're one of the few ducks that prefer deep water to shallow ponds. While most dabble on the surface, the tufted duck dives headfirst into life. Literally. Their webbed feet work like twin propellers, and their compact body cuts through water with zero hesitation. And even their flight has rhythm. Short takeoff, fast beats, clean landings. Everything they do feels rehearsed, yet effortless. During breeding season, pairs form close bonds, nesting in dense reeds or along small islands. The female handles incubation, while the male guards nearby, often watching his reflection in the water because, well, confidence. The tufted duck isn't just a bird, it's a vibe. Sleek, stylish, and unbothered. A reminder that confidence doesn't come from perfection, it comes from owning what makes you different. So tell me, if you could choose one thing to stand out for, would you pick talent, beauty, or that perfect hair? If travelers had feathers, they'd probably look like the Garganey, a small, elegant duck that seems to carry half the planet's sky on its wings. This little wanderer breeds in Europe and Central Asia, then takes off on an epic migration, crossing deserts, mountains, and oceans, to spend winter in Southeast Asia. And yes, that includes Brunei, where it arrives like a tiny visitor from another world. They don't make a big entrance. No drama, no loud calls, just quiet ripples across the wetlands at sunrise. Males wear a silvery body with a bold white eyebrow stripe that curves across a rich brown head, like an artist's brushstroke made of light. The females? Subtle and speckled, blending perfectly into reeds. It's beauty and understatement, the kind that only shows itself when you're paying attention. Here's the amazing part. This bird weighs less than half a pound, yet it travels more than 5,000 miles each way. No maps, no GPS, just instinct and the stars. If that's not inspiring, I don't know what is. In Brunei's flooded rice fields, they feed delicately, sweeping their bills side to side through shallow water, filtering out insects and seeds. Their movements are graceful, calm, like poetry written in ripples. Fun fact, the Garganey is one of the only ducks that doesn't quack. Instead, the male makes a gentle clicking sound, like water dripping into a quiet pond. It's subtle, mysterious, and oddly soothing. They arrive in small groups, rest for a few months, then vanish north again, leaving behind only silence and a few stray feathers floating on the surface. And every year, somehow, they find their way back. Same marsh, same sky, same rhythm. The Garganey is proof that you don't have to be big or loud to be extraordinary. Sometimes the most powerful journeys are the quiet ones. So here's my thought. If no one knew the miles you traveled, would you still take the flight? If you've ever seen a duck on a pond, anywhere in the world, chances are you've met a mallard. They're like the global ambassadors of duckdom. The classic, the iconic, the feathered face of quack. But just because they're common doesn't mean they're boring. In Brunei's wetlands, the mallard shows up like a seasoned traveler. Calm, confident, and completely at home no matter where it lands. Think of them as the backpackers of the bird world. Friendly, adaptable, and always in the middle of something interesting. The male or drake is instantly recognizable. Emerald green head, yellow bill, white neck ring, and that perfect balance of brown and gray. It's like he got dressed for a wedding and never left. The female, on the other hand, wears soft brown tones that blend with reeds and mud, the quiet strength behind the bright partner. Together, they're more than a couple. They're a team. They mate for a season, share duties, and raise their ducklings with surprising discipline. Ever seen a line of baby ducks paddling behind their mom in perfect order? Yeah, that's a Mallard's masterpiece of parenting. Fun fact, these ducks are the ancestors of almost every domestic duck on the planet. Your farm ducks, your park ducks, even the ones in old cartoons. All Mallard family. They've basically conquered the world by just being good at being ducks. They feed by dabbling, tipping forward like floating teapots, tails straight up in the air while their bills search the shallows. It's practical and hilarious at the same time. Proof that efficiency and comedy can coexist. Despite being everywhere, mallards still migrate thousands of miles every year. Some fly from Siberia to Southeast Asia, pure muscle and instinct powered by wings. When they glide into Brunei's marshes at dusk, their silhouettes against orange water feel timeless. A scene that could belong to 1,000 years ago. The mallard isn't rare, it's eternal. Proof that you don't need to be exotic to be extraordinary. So here's the question. If you could go anywhere in the world and still feel at home, would you ever stop traveling? If ducks were sports cars, the green-winged teal would be the turbocharged compact. Small, fast, and ridiculously stylish. You might miss it at first. It's tiny, barely half the size of a mallard. But when sunlight hits those emerald green wing patches, it's impossible to look away. That shimmer isn't just color, it's attitude. These teal travel incredible distances, from the Arctic tundra to the tropics of Southeast Asia. And somehow, they do it with the energy of a bird running on espresso. When they reach Brunei's wetlands, they zip across the water like feathered arrows, turning every flight into a physics experiment. The males are dashing, chestnut head with a gleaming green stripe sweeping from the eye to the neck, and a delicate buff line that looks painted by hand. The females? Subtle, smart, beautifully camouflaged. The ones who actually make sure the species survives while the boys play fashion model. And their feeding technique? Classic teal chaos. They tip forward, dabble, and spin in tight circles, snapping up seeds and tiny insects. It's like synchronized swimming, if the choreography was improvised and fueled by caffeine. Fun fact, these little birds can launch straight up from the water without a running start. 1 second they're floating, the next, whoosh, gone like a magic trick. Try doing that after lunch. At dawn, their flocks rise together in waves, dozens of them flashing silver and green as they twist and turn above the marsh. It's one of those sights that make you forget to breathe for a second. Pure coordination, pure wonder. Despite their size, green-winged teals are among the most resilient of all migratory ducks. They cross oceans, dodge storms, and somehow always find the same patch of wetland, year after year. They may be small, but they move like they own the wind. The green-winged teal is proof that speed and beauty don't need to be loud, just confident. So here's my question. If the world saw you as small, would you slow down to prove yourself, or move so fast they couldn't catch up? Some birds are famous for their looks, others for their voice. And then there's the Oriental magpie robin, a bird so full of personality, it could probably host its own morning radio show. You'll find it in Brunei's gardens, forest edges, and quiet backyards perched on fence posts or singing from treetops at sunrise. It's small, sleek, and confident. Glossy black back, pure white belly, and that neat tail it flicks like punctuation after every note. When it sings, the whole forest listens. It doesn't chirp, it performs. Clear, melodious, almost human-like. Each phrase rises and falls like a practiced musician warming up for the day. And yes, every male has his own style. Some whistle fast, some slow, some even remix other birds' songs just to show off. Imagine living next to a bird that constantly improvises jazz. Locals call it a dul or shama, and it's been admired for centuries across Asia for its beautiful voice. In some cultures, it's considered a symbol of good luck and morning joy. Not bad for something that weighs less than your smartphone. Fun fact, these birds are also clever mimics. They can imitate other species, doorbells, even ringtones. So if you hear a weird sound coming from the garden, it might not be your phone. It might just be this little performer doing sound check. They're also fiercely territorial. If another male dares to enter its stage, the magpie robin turns from singer to warrior, wings flared, tail high, shouting, "Wrong neighborhood, buddy." It's dramatic but effective. And despite their confidence, they're loyal partners. Once paired, the male sings not just to attract, but to reassure. It's his way of saying, "I'm here. The home's safe. We're good." The Oriental magpie robin reminds us that joy isn't something you chase. It's something you share. So here's my question. If you had a song that could make the world pause for a moment, would you sing it every day or keep it to yourself? Deep in the forests of Borneo, where Brunei's jungle hums with life, there's a voice that sounds almost too perfect. A cascade of notes that echo through the trees like a flute played by the wind itself. That's the white-crowned shama, the royal cousin of the magpie robin, and one of Borneo's greatest natural singers. It's easy to spot once you know what to look for. Glossy black plumage, a long flowing tail, and the signature touch, a small white crown right on top of its head, like a tiny halo of authority. It doesn't just sing for attention, it sings to rule the forest choir. These birds are endemic to Borneo, meaning you won't find them anywhere else on Earth. And among birdwatchers, hearing one in the wild is like catching a live concert from a legend. Their song isn't random, it's complex, layered, with precise pauses and echoes that bounce through the canopy. It's as if they've studied acoustics better than any sound engineer. Fun fact, the white-crowned shama can mimic over 20 different bird calls, rearranging them into its own compositions. Yes, you heard that right. It's basically a feathered DJ remixing nature's greatest hits. They're fiercely territorial too. A male will perch on the highest branch, singing loud enough to make his presence known across the valley. If a rival appears, the concert turns into a showdown. The louder bird wins. No violence, just pure vocal dominance. What makes them even more fascinating is how loyal they are. Pairs often return to the same nesting site every year, tucked inside dense undergrowth. The female builds the nest. The male stands guard, occasionally bursting into song, like a proud husband cheering from the sidelines. The white-crowned shama is more than just a bird. It's the soundtrack of Borneo's spirit. Elegant, elusive, and full of pride. So here's a thought. If your voice could reach across a forest, would you use it to compete or to connect? Every now and then, nature gets its color palette just right. And the proof of that perfect moment? The Verditer flycatcher. You'll see it perched alone on a thin branch, glowing like a drop of turquoise sky that forgot to fly away. It's not bright blue, it's electric. That shimmering, dreamlike shade of blue-green that makes you blink twice, wondering if your eyes are lying. In Brunei's highland forests and gardens, this little bird stands out like a piece of jewelry against the dark green leaves. Even its belly and face are dusted in blue. No dull side, no camouflage, just pure confidence. But don't let that chill look fool you. It's a serious hunter. Flycatchers live up to their name. They perch, wait, and then launch into mid-air acrobatics to snatch insects with split-second precision. It's like watching a sapphire boomerang come to life. And yes, it's solo by nature. While other birds hang out in flocks, the Verditer prefers the quiet. Moving gracefully from branch to branch, a peaceful blue shadow against the sun. It's not shy. It just doesn't need company to feel complete. Fun fact, their color isn't from pigment, but from light refraction inside microscopic feather structures. In plain words, they bend sunlight into blue. Even in shade, they shimmer. Even in twilight, they glow. When they sing, it's soft and sweet. A handful of notes that sound like glass wind chimes caught in a morning breeze. No drama, no battle for attention, just beauty, unbothered. The Verditer flycatcher might be small, but it carries the sky wherever it goes. Proof that light isn't something you find. It's something you carry within. So here's my question for you. If you could hold one color of the world forever, would you pick the fire of sunset or the calm of the open sky? If fire could sing, it would sound like the ruddy kingfisher. And if color could whisper secrets, it would wear this bird's feathers. Hidden within the emerald forests of Brunei, this kingfisher is a flash of impossible color. Deep orange-red plumage, coral bill, and eyes dark as midnight rain. It's like a spark of sunset lost in the jungle. You might hear it before you see it, a haunting call, low and echoing, cutting through the trees like a forgotten memory. And when it finally appears, still, quiet, perched above a stream, it doesn't move. It waits. Patience is its weapon. Unlike the bright blue kingfishers you might know, this one hunts in the shadows. Frogs, crabs, even small lizards. No diving, no splashing, just a silent drop from its perch. One precise strike, then gone. It's not flashy in action. Its magic is in control. Locals say it's the spirit of the forest flame, appearing before heavy rains or during dawn fogs when the world feels half dreaming. And honestly, it makes sense. The ruddy kingfisher glows brightest when the light fades, turning gloom into gold. Fun fact, this species migrates by night, crossing vast distances guided by starlight. Tiny, glowing, unstoppable. Somehow it finds its way back to the same forest patch every year, the same tree, maybe even the same branch. But here's what makes it unforgettable. When it flies, it doesn't burst out in a blur like most birds. It drifts, gliding through low light, quiet and surreal, like a piece of fire refusing to go out. The ruddy kingfisher isn't loud, but it burns in your memory long after it's gone. It teaches that power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just glows. So here's my question. If you could be a light in the dark, would you choose to blaze for a moment or glow quietly for a lifetime? Some birds inspire awe with color, others with sheer presence. And then there's the lesser adjutant, a bird that looks like it just walked out of prehistory, still deciding whether it wants to join the modern world. Tall as a child, bald-headed, and standing perfectly still for hours. It's the quiet observer of Brunei's wetlands and mangroves. At first glance, you might think, is that a stork or a retired dinosaur? And honestly, both answers might be right. It's a member of the stork family, cousin to Asia's giant greater adjutant, but slightly smaller. Though lesser doesn't make it any less impressive. When it unfolds its wings, nearly 2.5 meters wide, the sky takes notice. And when it stares with those ancient yellow eyes, even crocodiles think twice. Here's the thing, it's not a glamorous bird. It doesn't sing, it doesn't dance, but it commands respect simply by being there, like an old guardian of the swamp, watching centuries pass one ripple at a time. They feed on fish, frogs, and carrion, nature's cleanup crew, turning decay back into life. Not the most romantic job, but one of the most important. Without them, the wetlands would drown and rot. Fun fact, their bare necks and heads aren't about looks, they're practical. No feathers mean less mess when diving into, well, the less appetizing parts of nature's menu. And despite their intimidating look, they're shy. They avoid humans, nesting high in trees, raising 1 or 2 chicks with incredible care. The sight of a parent adjutant delicately feeding its chick with that massive bill, it's oddly tender, like watching a dragon hold a teacup. The lesser adjutant isn't built to charm you, it's built to remind you that even the strangest creatures have a place, and every role in nature matters. So here's my question. If your beauty wasn't meant to please, but to protect, would you still want to change it? In the deep rainforests of Brunei, where sunlight filters through layers of green and the air feels ancient, there walks a ghost, silent, graceful, almost invisible, the storm's stork. Most people will never see one in their lifetime. Even scientists call it the phantom of Borneo's rivers. Fewer than 500 remain on the entire planet, scattered across the last untouched jungles of Southeast Asia. It's easy to understand why it's so elusive. This stork doesn't soar high or gather in flocks. It moves quietly through flooded forests, stalking fish in shadowy water, every step deliberate, every motion precise. It doesn't need an audience. It just exists with dignity. Black wings, white belly, pink legs, and a long yellow bill. Simple colors, yet somehow otherworldly when seen against the dark green of the mangroves. It's elegance stripped of excess. Perfection in silence. Storks are monogamous, raising their young high above the water in tall trees. Both parents share the work, taking turns to hunt, to guard, to nurture. They're not just survivors, they're caretakers of a vanishing world. But their greatest challenge isn't the jungle, it's us. Logging, mining, and deforestation have erased much of their home. Every fallen tree is another note of silence added to their song. And yet, in the quiet corners of Brunei's protected wetlands, a few still remain, gliding like shadows, rebuilding hope branch by branch. They're living proof that miracles don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper. Fun fact, when they take off, they barely make a sound. No wing beats, no noise, just air parting around perfection. It's haunting, humbling, and unforgettable. The storm's stork isn't just rare, it's sacred. A reminder that some things are worth saving, not because they serve us, but because they teach us what still deserves reverence. So here's my question. If you saw a miracle walking quietly through the trees, would you recognize it before it disappeared? If Borneo had a crown jewel, it wouldn't be gold or gemstone. It would be a bird. Strange, rare, and utterly unique. The Bornean bristlehead. Even its name sounds mysterious, doesn't it? A creature so unlike any other that scientists had to give it a family all to itself. One species, one dynasty. You won't find its kind anywhere else on Earth. Only here, in the rainforests of Brunei and northern Borneo, where mist wraps the trees and secrets cling to the air. At first glance, it looks like a riddle made of feathers. A black body, bright red head, and tiny orange bristles that stick out like sparks of fire. Not quite a crow, not quite a shrike, just something ancient that decided to stay hidden. It moves through the treetops in small flocks, whispering across the canopy like an exclusive club of forest ghosts. Their calls are eerie, a mix of crackles, whistles, and mechanical notes that sound almost digital. If the jungle had Wi-Fi, these would be the notifications. And here's the twist. For centuries, nobody knew where to place it on the bird family tree. It's that unique. DNA studies later proved what birders already felt. The bristlehead is one of a kind, the last living member of its ancient lineage, a survivor of evolution's forgotten chapter. Fun fact, those spiky feathers on its head aren't just decoration. They act like sensors, helping it move through dense foliage while hunting insects, fruit, and the occasional unlucky lizard. It's half beauty, half design genius. Spotting one in the wild is a life goal for birdwatchers. Even locals speak of it with quiet pride. The forest still keeps its secret. The Bornean bristlehead doesn't shout for attention. It simply reminds you that true rarity isn't about beauty, it's about being irreplaceable. So here's the thought. If you were the last of your kind, would you hide from the world or make sure it never forgets your song? From shimmering wetlands to mist-draped rainforests, Brunei's skies hold stories that few have heard, and even fewer have seen. Here, every bird is a fragment of wonder. The whistling ducks that sing at sunrise, the pintails and teals that chase the wind across continents, the kingfishers and shamas that turn silence into song, and the Bornean bristlehead, rarest of them all, a living echo of time itself. Brunei may be small on the map, but it carries an infinity of life within its trees and rivers. Every flash of color, every note of birdsong reminds us that beauty doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to exist. If you've listened closely, maybe you've heard more than bird calls. Maybe you've heard resilience. Maybe you've heard hope. So as the last echo fades through the jungle, ask yourself, which of these 15 rare wings captured your heart? Tell us in the comments below. And if this journey left you in awe, share it. Let someone else hear the wild sing, because in places like Brunei, the sky never really goes silent.